Hi all, welcome back to my channel. So hope you everybody is feeling good and well. So today I came up with a very important topic that we are going to understand today. That is what is tumbling window trigger in Azure Data Factory. Let me check the volume. Okay, so in earlier session, as you know, that we have covered what is schedule trigger and the storage trigger, and we have covered the demo as well. Okay, so today we will understand what is the third type of the tumbling trigger in the ADF, that is tumbling window trigger. So let's understand what is the definition the Microsoft has given for the tumbling window triggers. Let's understand that. So you can, if you wanted to see. Second here, so this is a Microsoft document, okay, which is given by the Microsoft on the tumbling window. So if you see, these three lines are very important, which we wanted to understand. It's saying that it's a type of a triggers that fires at a periodic time interval from a specified start time while retaining the state. Okay, so it is saying that it's a kind of a trigger that will enable the pipeline to execute in a periodic time interval from a specified start time. Okay, so whatever the start time you provide in your trigger, from that start time to the end time, if you end time is an optional, if you provide the end time from start and end time, what is the recurrence? Okay, what a specific periodic interval whichever you have given, in that periodic interval your pipeline is gonna execute. Okay, and the thing is, the same thing can be achieved by the schedule trigger, but here the difference is that it will retain the state. Okay, that means whatever the time you have set in the tumbling window, the same time, start time and end time, the pipeline can use in its functionality. In the schedule trigger, it's not like that. Okay, we can execute our pipeline in specific interval of time. Okay, but the timing is cannot be accessed by the pipeline. Okay, so that is the very first difference between the schedule trigger and the tumbling window trigger. Now, the second, what it is saying, tumbling windows are the series of a fixed size, non-overlapping and contiguous time interval. So fixed size means if you have created a tumbling window trigger, okay, you have provided some set of the start time and end time and the recurrence setting. These three settings you have done it, okay, and you have published it. Then later on you execute the pipeline and you came to know, okay, no, I need to change the recurrence and I need to change the start time and end time. So it's not going to happen. You cannot change it once the trigger is published. You have to create, you have to drop this tumbling window trigger and you have to recreate the another tumbling window trigger, and you have to attach your pipeline with it. So you cannot change the size which you have already provided to your tumbling window. If you have provided, like you wanted your pipeline to be executed, in every hour from tomorrow, from yesterday to today. Okay, suppose, let's take an example. So what will happen once you execute, once you publish it, it is the this particular time frame will be fixed. You cannot change it after publish it. Okay, but in the case of schedule and storage events, you can change the settings and you can republish it. So that is going to happen in schedule trigger and the storage type in, trigger, but it is not going to happen in tumbling window trigger. So we can say the window, why it is called the windows, because it is creating your periodic it is creating your within the time spans, whatever the reoccurrence you have set, that will create a number of windows for you, for your pipeline to execute. Now the third, it is very important thing, the tumbling window trigger has one-to-one relationship with a pipeline and can only reference a singular pipeline. So that means we have a one-to-one relationship, okay, with pipeline and the tumbling window triggers. In If you remember in the previous session in schedule trigger, when I covered the schedule trigger, I told you that we have a many-to-many relationship. That means two pipelines, more than one pipeline can be executed by the single schedule trigger. Okay, or a schedule trigger or a single pipeline can have a multiple schedule trigger. So we have, in case of the schedule trigger, we have a many to many relationship. Okay, but in case of tumbling, we have only one to one relationship. So in short, we have to understand these 3 points, that tumbling window trigger is the very first type of a trigger which will fire as a periodic interval of time from the specific start time and while retaining the state. Okay, second is that it has to has one-to-one relationship with a pipeline, and third is it has a series of a fixed size, non-overlapping and continuous time interval. And there is one more thing, very basic, very important difference between the schedule trigger and the tumbling window trigger, that it will allow your pipeline to load or to access the historical data. Okay, backdated. It allows your pipeline to execute for the backdate as well. But in the schedule trigger, if you have created, suppose I created a schedule trigger today, okay, so it allow my pipeline to execute from this time, okay, future dates, present and future dates. And but in the case of tumbling window triggers, if you wanted, suppose you have a employee data or a sales data which is having very historical data, and you wanted to process that, okay, you wanted to move it to some other location, so that in such scenarios you have to use the tumbling window triggers, because in that you can choose your backdated, and it will allow your pipeline to execute and process the backdated. Okay, so I think this is the theory part which I try to cover and make your concept clear. I hope this is little bit clear to you. If it is not clear, that's not a problem, we will see the demo. Okay, so let's go to our portal here. I have already opened the data factory, Azure data factory user interface. Okay, here if you can see, I have opened in the manage tab, there is a trigger. Earlier session I have created schedule trigger and the storage trigger. So I was saying that it is a fixed size, right, and it cannot change. So if you see, this is schedule trigger, I'll show you, I'll practically show you. Here this is my previous trigger, and if you this is my settings which I have done. Start date is this, okay, time, UTC timing, and I execute every 3 hours. Okay, if I wanted to change it, suppose in a minute I wanted to change, it will execute in every 15 minutes, suppose like that. So I it allow me, okay, it allow me to change this setting, and it allow me to publish it as well. Okay, if I try to publish it, it allow me to publish, to make the changes in the schedule trigger. But the same, if we create the tumbling window, it is we cannot do this thing. Okay, and in the storage I will show for the storage as well. So this is a storage event which will execute once any .csv file will loaded into input folder. The same moment my trigger will be trigger my this trigger will enable, not enable, it will trigger the pipeline to which this trigger is attached to. So let's suppose instead of CSV, now I wanted txt file. So it is checking if any txt file is available in input container. Yes, it is. Then click on OK, and if I click on publish, it allow me to publish this. So the thing is, if we create the schedule and storage, we can we can change the setting as well after even publishing, and then after we can again republish it. But in the case of tumbling window trigger, it is not possible now. Okay, so this thing is very much clear. I think now we'll go to the pipeline. I have created very simple pipelines to show the tumbling window functionality, not the pipeline functionality. So if you can see, this is the simple pipeline where I have only set variable, and this is this pipeline is having a variable name testware, and the value is of type string. So I put the value as a hard coded value test. So see, the agenda of this demo is not to show the functionality of pipeline, but to show the functionality of tumbling window trigger, how it will work. So suppose this is my pipeline, okay, simple pipeline, and I wanted to attach the tumbling window. I need to create a tumbling window. Let me, and I need to attach it. So one way is you can go to the manage and you can create a tumbling window trigger from here, or another thing is that you can create from here. So let me go to the manage. Okay, and this time we will create a trigger from this manage tab. So click on new button, give a name, tumbling wait. Okay, tumbling trigger, that's fine. Okay, and here you have to select tumbling window. So if you see here, the start time is 17:07, which is right now 3:16. Okay, and it is UTC. So always whenever you mention your timings, okay, it is in UTC. So it's better, it's recommended you can go to your Google and change the UTC to IST. Okay, and check whatever the timing, like if you can see in my system, it is 8:47 a.m. So it would be 3:17 a.m. in UTC. So what I'm going to do, I need to give the same timing. Okay, 3:17 a.m. So I need to, it's 3:16. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll make it as 3:20 because it may take some time, because I was explaining the things as well, right? So it is going to take some time. So what will happen, I want my triggers to be start from this state. And here if you see, there are three options here: minutes, hours and monthly. Okay, but in schedule trigger, if you see, there are a lot of options in schedule triggers, like if you have to execute your pipeline, okay, fifth day of a month, or okay, or Thursday in every week. So that functionality is there in the schedule trigger. That much of I mean options for the scheduling purpose, it's not in the tumbling window. But yes, we have minutes, hours and months. So what I'm going to do, let's suppose I wanted to execute my tumbling window in every let's suppose in every 5 minutes. Okay, in every 5 minutes. And I'll specify the time 3:20 again. 3:20. Okay, so not minute, let me give it hours. And here, hmm. Now if you can see here, start time is 17. Okay, 17 July 2022, 3:20. And here the end time is 18 July 3:20. That means a complete a day. Okay, from 17 to 18. And I want to trigger my pipeline. I wanted to execute my pipeline, or trigger it in every 1 hour. In every 1 hour, that means it will divide my pipe, it will divide the execution into multiple windows. That's why it's called the tumbling window. So it divides into the 24 windows, right? Because I wanted to execute in every 1 hour. So it will start from 3:20. Suppose it will start from 17 July. Okay, 3:20 to 17 July 4:20. So this would be my first window. Okay, this would be my first window. So this way, if I, let me, 4:42. Now we have to not 4:40, sorry, 20. Now the second window would be 4:20 to 5:20. Okay, this would be my second window. And 5:22, it's coming 5 to 6:20, and so on. Like this, you have created a 24 window. Okay, this would be my third window. Like this, it will complete by 18th, right? So it would be 18 July 3:20. So it would be 2:20 to 18 July 3:20 would be my 24th window. Okay, so what happen here is the tumbling window will create this 24 window based on the recurrence setting what you have set here. Okay, I took 1 hour. That means I wanted my pipeline to be executed every 1 hour between this specified time interval. Okay, so if you go back and see the definition, fires at the periodic interval of time. This is the periodic interval of time from a specified start time. Specified start time is nothing but what we have specified here, that is the 17th July 3:20 and the 18th July 3:20. It would be my end date. So it will periodically execute your pipeline from the specified start time while retaining the state. While retaining the state means we can capture these values. We can capture this time at the time the trigger is executed. We can capture, we can retain this state, and we can pass it on in the pipeline itself. So this I will give the demo of this a little bit late. First, let's understand this part. Okay. So this way it will execute 24 times. I mean, okay, 24 windows is there. Now we have an advanced settings here. If you go here, if you have you can add the dependencies as well. That will I will cover in the later section, how we can create a second tumbling window trigger and how we can add the dependencies and what are the offset and window size for that. Okay, if you see here in advance, if you scroll down, there is a delay. Okay, delay is nothing. It says that if you want it from one window to another window, okay, one if you wanted to give a delay of some seconds, 5 seconds, okay, then you can add it here. Okay, you can add it like 5 seconds. I wanted to give a delay between the two windows, okay, to execute, so you can give it. Okay, let me put it as 0. Maximum concurrency is a very important settings, which is it's saying number of simultaneous trigger runs at a file that are fired. So here if you can see 24 times this is gonna execute if I wanted. Okay, if I wanted to execute 5 pipelines instance at the same time, so what I can do, I can make it as a 5 concurrency. So what will happen, this 5 go to notepad here. So 1 2 3, okay, 3 4 and 5, I mean, so this 5 window will execute at the same time. Okay, so that is what we call the maximum concurrency. Let's suppose I make it as a 10. Okay, so 24 is there, right? 24 is going to execute, so 10 pipeline instances will be created, will be executed at the same time. Okay, so for better clarity, let's make a very little number, that is 5 concurrency. Okay, retry policy. Retry, if something is failed, you wanted to retry again, that you can execute, that you can mention like suppose my pipeline instance got failed, I wanted to retry it again one time. Okay, only one more time I wanted to retry, otherwise it will make it as a fail, so you can make it 1. If you wanted to execute 2 times, okay, if it got failed, you can make it 2, so that is fine. Let me make it 0. Retry policy interval in seconds. That means if I put it like 2 times, if my pipeline instance got failed, I wanted to execute it again 2 times. Okay, and between these 2 times, whatever the interval you wanted, the gap between the two between the two pipelines run, that you can mention here. So it would always be in the seconds. So let me make it as a 0. Maximum concurrency we will keep it as a 5. Okay, and this is a setting you wanted to start your trigger right now or not. So this is in advance. If you see, we have not added any dependency, we have just added the maximum concurrency, and we will retry policy as a 30, that is default. Let's keep it. So we have only changed this maximum concurrency as 5. Okay, we have specified the timing, start and date, and we want our trigger to execute in every 1 hour. Okay, now let me go. This is 3:20. Let me go and check what is the time right now. If I, so it is see 3:25 a.m. as per my time. It's a 3:25 a.m. So I need to change it because see it's been 5 minutes to discuss regarding the settings. Okay, so what I'm going to do, 3:25. Let's make it 3:28 so that it will execute. Or let me change it to make it absolute value 3:30. And here also, and it would be 3:30. Okay, so this setting, whatever the setting we are giving here right now, it is going to freeze. We cannot, after publish, we cannot change it. So that is very you have to be very careful about the timings of the tumbling window, because it is not going to change. You have to recreate the new trigger if you wanted to change the timings of the tumbling window. So you have to be very sure about the specified intervals, and you have to be very sure about the recurrence settings. Okay, so this is done. Let me create, and let me click on start create triggers on creation, and let me click on OK. So see here, it is created and started, but there is no pipeline is attached to it. So what we need to do, I wanted my set pipeline to attach with this trigger. I wanted this pipeline to be executed using this tumbling window. So just select the trigger tumbling and click on OK. That's okay, and we have to publish it. That's it, we have to publish it. Until and unless you will not publish it, it's not going to work. So you have to publish your tumbling window. So it is publishing, and if you see 5:57. We have made it as a 3:20 a.m. Okay, so 3 more minutes. That means it will be when it will be 9 a.m. Then it is going to execute. So go back to here, publishing completed. Now, meanwhile, we'll discuss. Go to manage, and you can see here. Click on tumbling window. Wait, you can see there is one number. That means one pipeline is attached to it, and which pipeline, PL underscore set pipeline, is attached to my tumbling window. If you wanted to see this, what I was telling you, right? The start time is freeze. If you can see, this is the freeze. You cannot change the start time. You can change the end time, but you cannot change the start time, and you cannot even change your recurrence. So if you wanted to change it, you have to, recreate the another tumbling window, and you have to attach your pipeline. And if you wanted to attach this pipeline, this part is clear, okay? That this is the fixed size. Now we have to check has one-to-one relationship with the pipeline. So suppose I have created the trick tumbling, okay, and I wanted to use the same. I have attached to the PL set pipeline. I wanted to attach it to again to another pipeline. So what I'm going to do, I choose this. So if you see here, I wanted to use that trigger tumbling window, and you cannot see that option available here because it is already been connected with the PL underscore set. So this way we can say that tumbling window trigger is having one-to-one relationship with your pipeline. You cannot choose it. You cannot choose into the for multiple pipelines. But here you can see we can attach the another pipeline with a schedule and storage. So that means with in case of schedule and storage, we can have a many relationship with the pipeline, but in tumbling we don't have a many relationship, we have one-to-one relationship. So this point is also covered, that it is having many to many relationship. This point is also covered. Now we have to check whether it executed or not. So it's 1 minute left. What we need to do, we need to go to the monitor, and in the monitor just refresh it to check our tumbling window trigger is executed or not. So this is my previous one, okay, just wait. So, meanwhile, I'll tell you in what scenario it is very advantageous. In what scenario, basically, we wanted to use the tumbling window trigger to, in case of the historical data load, if you have a historical data in your table, suppose you have a employee data or you have a sales data, okay, and in the table, and there you wanted, you wanted to execute, load the data, whichever comes for, I mean, for the today, I mean, on daily basis data is getting inserted into that table, okay. So what you wanted to do is whatever the data is come, whenever the pipeline is executed, from that time if any new data comes into your source table, you wanted to move that data to your destination table. So in that scenarios you can use tumbling window triggers, okay. And this would be done with the help of the tumbling system variable, which is and how the start time and end time will be captured by the pipeline, that will be captured using the system variable. So these are, there are two settings I will show you. Oh, it's 9 a.m. Let's go and check the monitor tab. Let me refresh. Just wait for a couple of seconds. Let me check the issued executed. Mm, 3:30 a.m. 3:30 a.m. Let me check the timings again. 3:30. The timings is fine. Let's go to cancel. Go to here. The monitor tab. Let's refresh it again. Okay, guys. Here we'll see. I have deleted that pipe trigger because the thing is there is the timing which is there. It got it passed by what we have executed. So what I did, I create another tumbling, because as I said that we can, once it is created, you cannot change your start timing, right? So what I did, I created another one, deleted that, and created a new one, which is like, which I wanted to execute in every 5 minutes between the same window. Okay, so here it will execute in every 5 minutes and attach this trigger to my the same pipeline. Okay, so if I go to now to the monitor tab, so you can see it got executed. Okay, if you let it refresh, see it got executed in 9:10. Okay, so it is it made to execute in every 5 minutes. So the next will be executed, that this is a set variable pipeline, and it got executed, the very first occurrence is 9:10, and it is supposed to execute in the second window would be 9:15. So okay, so it is 9:14, so we can expect one more execution, because it is like 5 minutes delay I have provided. 5 minutes recurrence is there. So let me refresh one more time. And if you see here, I'll tell you one more thing. Here we have not provided any start date. I mean, we have provided start date, and but we are not capturing inside the pipeline. That's why if you go scroll to the right side, here you can see the parameters. You can see the values which we have passed. Okay, that is available here. But in this pipeline, you see we have created a very we are created a tumbling window, but tumbling window timings, okay, start time and end time, we are not accessing in the pipeline, that is set variable pipeline which we have created. We have not, it's simple pipeline. So that's why there is no parameters here, and you cannot see here any values which is been passed to the pipeline. But if you see here, I have already created one pipeline, pl load employee data. Okay, this I have created. What is this pipeline is doing? This pipeline is actually loading. Let me open and show you. And before that, let me refresh it, and we'll see. And in, you can see there is one more reset. See, it executed in 9:15. First is 9:10, then 9:15. So this way, this tumbling window, it will execute in every 5 minutes from the specified time. So what specified time we have provided here? If you see, we have specified 17 July, and to 17 July 6:35, and here it is 3:35. So from 3:35 to 6:35, whatever, in every 5 minutes it got executed. So this is fine. Let me click on OK, and let me show you the pipeline, which is where we are capturing the start time and end time. Okay, so how we are doing that? So it is basically, if you understand here, while retaining the restate. So what is the meaning of retaining the state? That means whatever the values you are providing, your trigger is executed. Okay, specified start and we are retaining that state using the system variable. So these are the system variables that is we are going to use in our pipeline. Then pipeline will be able to access the trigger start time and end time using this system variable variable values. Triggers dot output dot window start time and window end time. So how we can use it? So let me open that pipeline which I have already created to save your time here. So this is pl load employee data. So let me tell you what it is doing. This pipeline is basically loading the employee data from source to sink, and my source and sink both in the SQL server. Okay, both in Azure SQL database. If you can see here, let me open this SQL. This is my Azure demo database in this server. Okay, and in this server I have created two tables, employee data and employee data destination. And employee data is having some records. Okay, this is let me execute this queries. Employee data is having some records, and I want here, if you see, employee ID, employee name, and employee joining date. So on the basis of joining date, okay, I wanted to move the data from employee data to employee destination. So how we are going to do? For that, I have created one procedure, proc load employee. So this start and end time we are expecting from the pipeline to give to the store procedure, and the store procedure will check the data in the employee data, and whatever is matching into this criteria will move to the destination table. So let me show you the definition of proc. This is the load employee. Here what we are doing, we are extracting employee data, only those records whose joining date is greater than start date, and joining date is less than end date. So now the question is, we have created the store procedure. Now this question is the start date and end date, from where the store procedure will get. He'll get from the pipeline. Now go to pipeline, and here we need to provide. So pipeline. So here if you see in the pipeline level, you have to create two pipelines. You have to create two parameters. First is pipeline start date and pipeline end date. I have made it as a pipeline. You can make it as a start date and end date. Just added a pipeline to distinguish it from the system variable start date and end date. So here I have passed the two parameters in the pipeline level. Now if I this values we will use in the activity, in our activity. In the source we wanted an employee data. Okay, so this is data set that we have created and we have provided this procedure name. So I wanted the data to be loaded from the employee data using the store procedure. Now the store procedure will need parameters, so you have to click on the import parameter. This too will be open, and here you have to provide this parameter. See, start date and end date. This is nothing but the same what you have provided here, the parameter start date and end date. So the value will be provided from the pipeline level parameters which we have created in the pipeline level. So this is we have done. Okay, now go to the sync the same data set we have. Okay, not same data set, I mean the data set we have created. In this data set you can see our table. This table is selected employee data destination. Okay, so that means the data will be moved from the employee data using the store procedure, okay, to this employee data destination. Go back to our pipeline here. Okay, and everything is fine. We do not need to provide a mapping because the both the table is having the same structure. In case the source and sink having the different structure, then we have to provide we have to import the schemas and we have to provide the mappings. So this is what we have done. We need to do. Now we need to execute it using the triggers. Okay, using the tumbling window trigger. So you can add it using your tumbling window trigger which I have created earlier. So that is the main functionality of the pipeline. If I go to the monitor, okay, let me click on monitor, and here if you can see one more occurrence is started. Here you can see yesterday I created this. Okay, this is the pipeline, the same pipeline executed. Okay, and if you see this is executed the same two times. Here you can see because I have added 8 numbers in the maximum concurrency. So 8 pipeline instance will be executed in the one shot. But if you can see here the parameters would be different. Here if you can see the parameters, the values passed actually is 16 July 1748 to 1848. Okay, if I check the another parameters here, 1648 to 1748 like this, 1448 to 1548. So it's like hourly basis. Okay, so this is the parameters which we are going to pass 1348 to 1448. So this way you can check the parameter value actually which is passed to your pipeline using the tumbling window trigger. And the same in this way you can fetch or you can move the data which is inside this window, whatever the data which is come in the employee data table. And if that tables, okay, if that employees whose joining date is between this period, okay, then it is loaded to the your employee destination. So this way you can use you can retain the values which retains the values the start date and end date, and this you can pass to your pipeline. I'll tell you one more time. I'll show you the pipeline. This you can pass in your pipeline. Now the question is how we can give the trigger values at the same time. So what you can do, you can let me choose a trigger here. Wait a second. I'll show you. I'll create one trigger. Okay, although it is already been created earlier, let me create one trigger to show you. Not new, choose trigger. Let me create one. Let me give tumbling window, and let me do it for every 1 hour. Okay, specified same date. Recurrence, let me give the recurrence like 50. Let it be, and click on OK. So as soon as I created a new trigger, because this pipeline is expecting the pipeline level parameters, that is pipeline start date and pipeline end date. So I need to provide the values from the trigger. So this is where we need to provide our trigger system variables. So this how we can get it. This is the value for the window start time. So you have to copy it Okay, this would be my start time and this would be my end time. So this is the trigger system variable which we are going to pass in the parameter level values started, and from the parameters the activity will consume this value, and from the activity the store processor will consume this value, and accordingly that particular records will be moved to the destination. So this way you can do it. You can move this way you can retain the states of your trigger, and you can pipeline can access that triggers window start time and a window end time, and accordingly the data will be pushed to your destination. And one more thing that I have not shown in the in your what do you call in the demo, that you can use the you can specify the historical date as well. Okay, it's not like that. Let me here, if you can see start date, it's not like that today is 17 you can you have to execute from 17. You can use the 6th of July as well. From 6th of July till 31st of July, if I wanted to execute okay my pipeline and wanted to see if in a database I have any backdated record. Okay, backdated records like 7th of July, I have any employees who joined in 7th of July or 8th of July, I wanted to move that data. So in that case you can use your backdated dates in the trigger tumbling triggers window, and accordingly the data will be pushed. So this is very very important in case if you have a requirement where you have to load the historical data, you have to process your data in back dates, in history in back dates, not in future dates, then you have to use the tumbling window triggers. Okay, so I think you will get some idea about the tumbling window triggers. Hope you if you have any questions, please let me know in the comment section. If you have specifically any topics which you wanted to cover me, I will be more than happy to cover it as and when I got some time. So thank you and have a nice day. Happy learning, all of you.